This is lesson 1-4a. We're going to solve a quadratic equation by first factoring out a monomial and then using the difference of squares factoring. So we'll be using three basic steps: factoring out a monomial, factoring by difference of squares, and then using the zero product property. Here's example 1. Solve 18x squared minus 2 equals 0. First of all, realize this is not a difference of squares, because this is not a perfect square and this is not a perfect square. So what we can do is notice that we can factor out a 2 out of each of those terms. So I'll do that. And I get 2 times 9x squared minus 1 equals 0. I now note that this is a perfect square and this is a perfect square. So I could rewrite this as follows. 2 times 3x in parentheses squared minus 1 squared equals 0. And I like to use parentheses, it just helps me better see the difference of squares. Whenever I've got something squared minus something squared, I've got that difference of squares factoring pattern. So I'll write that over here. In general, a squared minus b squared is a minus b times a plus b. So over here, if we got 3x squared minus 1 squared, 3x is like the a and 1 is like the b. All right, so I'm going to rewrite this as 2 times inside stuff minus inside stuff times inside stuff plus inside stuff equals 0. My final step is to use the zero product property. I've got something times something times something equals 0. So I chunk up each quantity, set it equal to 0, and solve for x. Well, there's no value of x that'll make this be 0, so I can disregard that. Over here, I've got 3x minus 1 equals 0. Over here, I've got 3x plus 1 equals 0. Add 1 to each side. Divide each side by 3. I might be running out of room. I'll write it up here. Three x divided by 3, 1 divided by 3. So x sub 1 is 1/3. Over here, subtract 1 from each side. And then again, divide each side by 3. The 3's will cancel. And I'll get x sub 2 equals negative 1/3. I like to put my negatives in the numerator. If you put them to the side of the fraction bar, sometimes they get hidden. If you put them by the denominator, sometimes I forget about them. So in general, I'll put all my negatives in my numerator. So once again, my solutions are x sub 1 is 1/3, x sub 2 is negative 1/3. If you want, some people put the least one first, so you could call this x1, that x2. We won't worry about that now. So again, this is how to solve a quadratic equation by first factoring out a monomial and then using difference of squares.